Hey everyone, welcome to today's explainer. Look, if you're stepping into the fast-paced world of software engineering or project management, you are absolutely going to need a reliable way to organize your work. So today, we're demystifying a seriously crucial tool for your toolkit. We're talking about mastering Kanban in Agile project management.
I mean, just imagine managing hundreds of moving pieces, right? Writing thousands of lines of code, coordinating with dozens of team members. It sounds like a villainous level of utter chaos. So how on earth do tech giants like Amazon or manufacturing powerhouses like Toyota manage all these tasks without the whole thing just completely falling apart? Well, the secret to taming that chaos? It's Kanban.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the origins of Kanban, the anatomy of a Kanban board, key principles and workflow, the advantages and disadvantages, Kanban versus Scrum, and finally, some real-world applications. All right, part 1, the origins of Kanban. Let's look at how an ancient Japanese secret solved modern software chaos.
It is actually so fascinating to trace this evolution. Back in the 1940s, an engineer named Taiichi Ohno spearheaded the Toyota production system. By the 50s, Toyota was actually using physical cards right on the factory floor to track parts, which laid the complete groundwork for lean manufacturing in the 90s, and then came this brilliant leap. In the 2000s, that exact same manufacturing logic crossed over to solve massive bottlenecks in agile software development.
So the word Kanban itself actually translates from Japanese to visual card. And at its core, it's just a pull-based system for managing your workflow. The philosophy is honestly pretty simple. You take invisible, abstract work, like lines of code, and you make it highly visual. That way, you can smoothly pull tasks through a pipeline from start to finish. Moving right along to Section 2, the anatomy of a Kanban board. Let's get into the practical tools you'll actually use to manage code. Think of the Kanban board as your entire project ecosystem. Within that space, you've got vertical columns that divide the different stages of your workflow. Then your individual tasks are represented by cards that move across those columns. And the thing keeping the whole system from just crashing down? Work in progress limits. These are essentially your traffic lights that prevent massive pileups. For a typical software team, your flow is usually going to look something like this: backlog, to-do, in progress, testing, and finally done. Setting up this really clear column structure is a total game changer because it means everyone on the team shares the exact same mental model. Just at a quick glance, you know exactly where a piece of code lives in the process. Let's zoom in on the micro-journey of a single task card. Say we have a high-priority card to create login page. It's assigned to John, and it's due by Monday. By making this abstract concept highly concrete, John knows exactly what his mission is, right? And the rest of the team knows that the login page is totally handled. You get no overlapping work and 0 dropped balls. Now notice that large number 3 hovering over the in progress column. So the crucial point here is that this is your work in progress, or WIP, limit. If your limit is 3, your team is literally only allowed to handle 3 active tasks at a time, period. No new tasks can be pulled from the to-do pile until one of those finishes. This forced focus absolutely eliminates that toxic context switching, and I promise you it's the ultimate secret to achieving continuous delivery without burning out your engineers. Okay, Section 3, Key Principles and Workflow. Let's look at the mechanics that actually govern the board. Let's track a task's full life cycle. It starts out as just a mere customer requirement, hanging out in the backlog. Once it gets prioritized, it graduates to to-do and gets pulled into in progress, where the actual coding happens. From there, it survives a rigorous code review, hits the testing phase, and finally reaches a triumphant deployment over in the completed column.
Keeping that life cycle moving smoothly really relies on 5 core pillars. You absolutely must visualize the work and tightly limit your work in progress. Doing that allows you to actively manage the flow of the cards, easily spot bottlenecks, and practice continuous improvement. And all of this is built on a constant feedback loop. Anchoring your team to these pillars is going to drastically improve your productivity. On to Section 4, Advantages and Disadvantages. Let's lay out the trade-offs so you know exactly when to use this tool. Objectively speaking, Kanban is incredibly easy to grasp. It improves collaboration and it brilliantly highlights those pesky bottlenecks, which drives continuous delivery. But there is a catch. Because it relies on continuous flow rather than strict timelines, it kind of struggles with rigid, fixed deadlines and long-term planning. And above all else, it requires immense discipline. Seriously, if you ignore your WIP limits, your pristine board will instantly turn into an overloaded nightmare.
Section 5, Kanban versus Scrum, the ultimate agile showdown.
And this brilliantly illustrates the big debate in the agile world, where Kanban and Scrum take totally different approaches. Kanban is like a continuous wave. Your priorities are flexible, the flow is continuous, and there are no mandatory roles. You're really just governed by those WIP limits. Scrum, on the other hand, is a ticking clock. It operates on rigid, fixed sprints, requiring strict commitments and mandatory roles, like the Scrum Master and the product owner.
Finally, Section 6, Real-World Applications. Let's connect this back to the broader industry landscape. You know, while it's obviously vital for software development and IT, this visual management system actually scales across almost every major industry, because workflow is universal, right? Healthcare uses it to manage patient flow. Manufacturing relies on it for assembly. Whether it's marketing, education, or banking, Kanban keeps highly complex teams perfectly in sync.
Ultimately, Kanban is not just a project management tool. It is a mindset. It's a philosophy that helps teams visualize work, improve productivity, reduce bottlenecks, and deliver value continuously. It really is a fundamental shift in how you approach problem solving.
So as you prepare to jump into your next major career endeavor, ask yourself, how will you visualize your next big coding project? Are you going to surrender to the chaos, or will you use a visual card to master the flow?
So it has 4 points which differentiated from the Scrum. The first is no fixed timelines. As in sprint, we have a fixed timelines. For example, if your sprint is of 2 weeks or 3 weeks, then we are sure that after the complete of that sprint, we will be delivering something to the client. But here, we don't have any fixed timelines. Second, no fixed planning and meeting. In Scrum, we have daily Scrums, we have sprint meetings, we have retrospective meetings. There are n number of meetings, but here there is no fixed plan at how many meetings we would be having, when they would be happening. No tasks are estimates. So how we pull the task from product backlog to sprint backlog is depending upon the estimates. For example, from product backlog, we would be taking only that amount of task which can be completed in that sprint. If your sprint is of 2 weeks, so we have to make sure we are only taking that amount of work which can be completed in that amount of time. But in case of Kanban, there are no estimates done, and also there are no Scrum Masters. So let's understand by a diagram that how it differentiates from a Scrum. So to understand better, we can understand it using a Kanban board. So we have a board known as a Scrum board. We have discussed this in a previous session. Also, we have a board in Kanban known as a Kanban board. So this is a product backlog. As in Scrum, what we do, we will take some part of activities and say that these activities we would be taking or working on this sprint. But in Kanban, we don't have any sprint, so this activity is not performed. So this is the main differentiation between the Scrum and Kanban, that in Kanban there is no sprint backlogs. There are no sprints. So what we do in Kanban, when a project is started, we take all the project backlog activities and put them on to-do state. When any person starts working on it, it is moved to the doing state, and when it is done, it is moved to the done column. If a new product or new issue comes, it is directly moved to the to-do state. As you can see, there is no process here. We take all the activities and start working on it. As soon as it is completed, it is marked as done. If you take an example of any restaurant, it usually have these 3 columns. So here are all the orders which are given to the chef. Doing is the orders on which the chef is working. When the chef has prepared the order, it has moved to the done. So by this chart, the chefs or the restaurant can easily track what the food recipes have developed and which they need to develop on. There is also one interesting feature of Kanban board is a limit option. As you can see here, there were around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 items. But what we say that in a restaurant we have only 4 chefs. So our 4 chefs can only work with 4 items at the same time. We have set a limit of here as 4. So what it means that at a time only 4 items can start work on. Once an item is completed, what we will take? We will take one more item from product backlog and start working on it. So you can set a limit in Kanban that how many items a team can work on depending upon its resource. So these type of models are more popular not in software development but other than IT industry. For example, in factories, in restaurants, and in support tickets. So there in that case the Kanban is more popular.